The COVID-19 pandemic has pushed many to turn to digital solutions, whether it's the government or even businesses. One such digital solution is the use of big data and location intelligence. As the Minister of Tourism, Sandiaga Uno, said that location intelligence can be very beneficial in boosting economic recovery. Location intelligence and big data analytics has been viewed as a helpful tool for combating the pandemic and even to help accelerate Indonesia's economic recovery. According to the Minister of Tourism and Creative Economy, Sandiaga Uno, location intelligence has the potential to be very beneficial in the fight against the pandemic and even help economic recovery in the private sector as well. For example, location intelligence can be used as a tool to analyze consumer habits in certain areas, which can help businesses grow and thus help accelerate Indonesia's economic growth as a whole. And to talk more about big data analytics and location intelligence, we have with us Martin Terpilowski, who is the President Director of Bumi Varta Technology. Hi, Martin.
Hi, Kania. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? It's a pleasure to have you with us in the show.
Yeah, thank you so much for you guys inviting me today. Thank you.
So Martin, tell us a little bit more about your company and what kind of solutions you are providing for your clients.
Yeah, I mean, we started around 3 years ago, and we basically are in like the big data space. So everybody talks about data at the moment and big data, but I believe that if you link big data to a location, it makes that data much more useful. So if you think about it, any kind of company actually needs big data linked to location, whether that's for just the data visualization, whether that's for expanding their business to know where to open new restaurants, or whether it's about logistical routing. There's all kinds of data out there, but it's not very clear. And Indonesia is a huge country and it's logistically challenged. So to be able to actually pull all that data together in one engine, we believe can be very, very useful for our clients. And we're finding that so far that both the government and a lot of private sector clients have started using our software as a solution for many things and to allow them to optimize their business.
Okay. Can you tell us one specific example how it has improved business results, specifically in Indonesia? Like what kind of companies have you been able to work here?
Look at if you look at expanding businesses, someone like Kopi Janji Jiwa, they were actually my first client, and they really expanded their business over the last few years. And they've used our software to do that. They've used our software by basically using the big data and the algorithm to predict where they should open. So basically, they might look at the 10 successful stores in Jakarta, and we use that algorithm, and then it makes a recommendation where they can open in Malang or Medan or elsewhere. So basically, it's allowed them to build their business from like 200 or 300 stores to nearly 1,000 stores and even more. So without that data, it's kind of more, without that data which is actually linked to location, it wouldn't be as easy for them to expand so quickly and accurately.
Okay, are you specifically targeting SME sectors? Because maybe Janji Jiwa could fall into that category, SME, startups, or which other sectors?
Janji Jiwa has around 1,000. Sorry, Janji Jiwa has around 1,000 stores now, but no, not really. We also contact XXI, Cinema XX1 is our customer. Obviously, at the moment with Corona, they've not been open for a long time, but it is the biggest cinema group in Indonesia. And again, they want to expand their business. And based on the big data, we help provide solution. Now, we also deal with the people like Kraft Heinz to help them white space analysis for which areas of Indonesia they're not covering so far. So we are mapping all the Toko Kelontong, and therefore they can make a decision where to build a warehouse, where to expand their sales team, etc. So no, it's a very wide spread of customers. FIF Group, that's a financial company, obviously. We've just signed a deal with Astra Digital to help them with API data. So no, we've got also the Indonesian government, the National Land Agency and BSSN So it's no, it's a very wide actually. I would say that nearly every company has a requirement for big data linked to location.
Okay, but how do you specifically gather data? You said data was the backbone of how your company is operating, and how do you gather the data?
Yeah, we provide like an end-to-end solution. So we collect data in many different ways: statistical data, surveys, telco data, any data that's available. I have a team of around 100 people at the moment in BSD, and I also have outsourced to many thousands of people where we get this data collected. So we just paid a company in Yogyakarta to collect all the data on the small stores, which is actually very vital information for people like Kraft Heinz, for BAT, because they need to know, because they don't have all this data themselves because they haven't collected it. What we do, we collect that data and put it into our system. So and we constantly update that data. So yeah, there is a lot of work involved, and also like telco data. Obviously, we buy that and add it to our system. There's a lot of data that's available, but what we do is bring it into one. We bring it into one platform, which is like we bring it all together. So it's like a dashboard, and with that data, we also have the algorithms to make predictive analytics based on that individual company's requirements.
Okay. What kind of infrastructure is needed to implement location intelligence in their respective business? Which sector do you think would benefit the most from location intelligence?
Yeah, well, when we started, I think our first target was F&B and retail. Obviously, there's so many companies expanding in these areas, and we can really help them with their business development, with their analysis of where's the best place to open the business. But obviously, with Corona, that business has slowed down a bit. So we've actually moved significantly into FMCG, where people are still eating and delivery routes need organizing. So we have our own map with logistical routing. We've also done some with the financial companies like FIF, and we're finding that there's more and more different sectors. Now we're talking to a number of cloud kitchens, which again, this is the new kind of VC-backed idea. They plan to open all over Indonesia, but where do they open? They don't really know. So we again provide that data and provide that software end-to-end solution. So it's much easier than sending people all over the country to do surveys. We've done that. And then basically it's kind of economies of scale. We've spent a lot of money collecting the data, putting it in an easy, understandable way. And then then we sell it to multiple companies, and they can then use that data in the understandable way to make better decisions and optimize what they're doing.
Which is a relatively new concept in Indonesia, and I bet it was hard for you initially to convince some of the businesses here to pick up the habit, to pick up data collecting, analyzing data. And I also want to ask you about what the minister said, that this is actually a solution that can help us recover faster during this pandemic. What do you think?
Yeah. So take the first question first. For sure, it was a challenge because, as you say, it is a new concept in Indonesia. The government have used some kind of GIS software in the past, but most companies have not been using this. So it is a new concept. But the thing was, my background is finance and investment banking, and basically I didn't know anything about technology before. But when somebody sold me that, when I looked at this as an opportunity to invest in as a business, it made real sense to me. And before I even came to Indonesia, I talked to multiple people here in business who really said to me, this is a great opportunity. But still, yeah, we had to have some blind faith, because for the first year and a half, we built the system and we had to convince people after that to buy it. But we're very lucky because the first couple of clients who believed in us are also kind of big names, Cinema XXI, XX1, as Indonesians call it. But they're the biggest cinema group in the country. And once these guys start using your software and taking you seriously, it kind of increases. So obviously we've had COVID to struggle with, and you find a lot of the international companies are looking for location intelligence solutions, whereas the Indonesian ones need it explaining to. But yeah, of course, companies are talking more and more about big data. It is a soft spot. But of course, some people still are pushing back on digitalization. And it's our job, obviously, to convince people that this isn't actually a cost to them. This is a way to drive their profit. We can highlight where all their customers that they don't currently know where they are. So there's so much opportunity there. And And yeah, it's our job to convince them, by talking to people and stuff. And yeah, we get support of people like you mentioned, Pak Sandy. I mean, he's been very good. He's been to a few webinars with us. And Pak Sandy also, in fact, I asked him to join tonight. So I hope he's joined. If you have, hello, boss. But basically, he understands, I think, the benefits this can provide for all kinds of different sectors. Yeah. We're trying to improve, all this data at the moment is kind of mixed up with the government. Yeah. Being able to visualize that data and then use that data in an algorithmic form to make a better decision. Yeah. I think all these different sectors can actually benefit from that.
Okay. So specifically to combat COVID-19, I understand that Bumi Varta Technology is also working with the government side by side to help with the pandemic in any way. So can you tell us a little bit more about this?
So when the pandemic initially started, we were basically like looking at where the crowds are of the people based on the telco data, looking at where the vaccination, basically where people, the poorer people, therefore maybe at higher risk because they can't self-isolate, and basically where the red zones are, all that data can be mapped. So yeah, we basically started doing that at the beginning of the pandemic. You'll be aware that the problem is, with the reaction with government things, it sometimes can take too long to move things forward too quickly. Yeah. And the pandemic hopefully is going to be over soon. But yeah, we were involved at the beginning doing the mapping of this. Now, things like, I was talking to Sandy about the vaccination, for example. Yeah. The rollout of the vaccination is something we can map completely. We can have all that data collected to make predictive where's the best places and where's the safest places, where need more vaccine. This is all stuff we can do. But things do move slowly in government, as you're probably aware. So, again, I've got to constantly be putting pressure on people to listen to me and my team. I mean, the rest of my team are all local. So, I mean, they're also trying to convince people of the benefits.
Okay. Martin, as the last question, you mentioned something about logistics. Our logistics, Indonesia's logistics has its challenges. So can you tell us what is your view on our infrastructures? How can we improve it going forward? And what are your clients saying? Are they finding it difficult to improve their logistics distribution because of the challenges that we had?
I think Indonesia is I think they're doing very well, to be honest. I think a lot of things are moving in the right direction. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, talk about the basic map. Basically, you've got Google Maps here, and even that's not so accurate here because a lot of the place is not mapped outside Jakarta and places like that. Mm-hmm. So what we're doing as a company is building our own map. We're not using Google, and some big corporations are going to start using our map to route themselves around. So the idea is that not only do we have the location to go, our software helps make a predictive analytics of prediction of the best way to go based on the traffic, based on the route, the rules of the roads. Because the problem you've got at the moment, sometimes you might drive down a road and suddenly the road becomes too small for the big wagon or the big lorry, and that's not clearly shown on all the mapping software. Right. So again, we have cars going around Indonesia with cameras on, collecting that data. So therefore, what we're trying to do is produce a map for Indonesia. And the government talk about one map Indonesia, but we've produced it ourselves in the private sector. And then people like these big logistical companies and hopefully the likes of GoTo and Bluebird in the future will not have to use Google Maps anymore. Indonesia can have its own map, and they can actually more accurate because we are mapping data with survey teams and in Sumatra, in Sulawesi, and therefore the concept is Indonesia has its own product built by the kids here because we are a PMA, everything's here. So that's the concept that we try to produce, and that's why there has been quite a lot of interest from various ministers, because Indonesia should have its own map, right, and it should be accurate. And obviously, as infrastructure improves, the map's got to be updated to show that changing infrastructure. But I think obviously you've got how many thousand islands? It's never going to be the easiest place in the world. Yeah. But that actually helps us because we can provide a solution for these people, whether that's helping these people predict where to open on the outer islands and where to make money on the outer islands, or predicting the best way to travel between point A and point B based on our software.